All right, so let's start. Pedro said let's go with that. So, all right, Euro New Zealand. Again, I really liked this entry yesterday. So I'm playing the pin bar here. So again, we have this is as classic James 16 I think as it gets, really, in my opinion. We have pin bar at a swing low here. I will say, listen, this is the FX Pro feed, which is normally a 5 p.m. Eastern New York close, but we switched our clocks last week or the week before, so I think Europe catches up. And you guys can correct me because I know most of you are not from the States that are in here. I think you guys change your clocks this weekend, maybe. I think Sunday you guys might be doing it. So if you guys are, yeah, Sunday. So these will switch back to 5 p.m. close. So this is really a 6 p.m. close you're looking at here. So let me pull up off of my Thinkorswim here because they stick to the 5 p.m. No matter what here. So here's what the 5 p.m. close actually looks like. So again, it's slightly different. It doesn't really change a whole lot, but I just want you guys to sort of understand what I was looking at towards the close here. So here's a 5 p.m. close. Again, it's basically the same thing. I got in a little bit lower. Let me just go back to FX Pro. So I got in a little bit lower here, so I just marked that entry off so you guys could see it. About 5 pips lower than this was. Again, it's same thing. Nothing really changes here. And I'm basically playing just a really pure price action here. We had this strong support area, right? Price found strong support, and it's basically just doing that after we've continued to box all the way down, right? So price boxes, it breaks out, it boxes, it breaks out, boxes, breaks out. We have this breakout to the downside, right? So price is trying to push lower. Now again, this isn't a strong downtrend. We're not trying to pick a bottom that turns this whole trend around. We're just trying to play the flow of the buyers and sellers here and get in at a good entry. So we have this strong support area. Price collapses down. It's a nice long nose pin bar, closes back up above this support area. So all I did was buy on. I basically bought on the open of the next bar. I got in slightly lower again, about 5 pips lower, which is really close to this left eye. So again, I tried not to be too cautious here because that's been routinely killing me this year. As you guys know, I've missed just so many trades by a few pips, but again, you can't let that be discouraging. That's just how it goes. Since we're going right into the New Zealand Australian session after the New York close here, I decided, again, I put a slight limit order in just to make sure to get the proper fill. But really, we're so close to that left eye area. And again, really simple here, guys. All I'm looking for is price to test this area here and then turn around. Again, people always ask me, and the most common question, because I know a lot of you guys followed me in on this one, a lot of you spotted this on your own, is sort of how do I judge when to drop out of a trade like this? At what point, when prices say coming back down, and it retraced before it moved up, so we're going to speak about that in a second. At what point do you decide to ditch out? And, for me, I'm not overly concerned because this is why I adjust my risk the way I do and the why I speak to you guys about, dynamic risk to reward, because what I'm comfortable with as a trader is knowing that I control a lot of my initial risk. And it's very rare that I'm going to take a full bar loss, and this is a perfect situation. So my initial risk is from here to here. I risk my 3%. Yes, Pedro, so I risk 3% on this because I have a good large area. And then I know, listen, this is the zone with which I'm going to cut out, somewhere in this area, right? Now, what happens too many times is too many people are pip perfect to these areas and expect, and again, it did really respect this area almost to the pip. Look at, we draw just almost a perfect line. But too many people are thinking, well, even if it came a little bit under this area, that I have to jump out. I trust my areas enough, and I have enough experience at this point that I almost always get a bounce. And again, that doesn't mean you never, that it never is the case where price continues to cut through. I can give you guys an instance where I cut out of a trade today where we didn't get a bounce. So you do have to make that decision, but I'm confident enough in my areas to wait for that bounce. Again, I'm not going to let this thing get down here, obviously, or get down here or here, but I'm going to let it turn up here. And it really did turn up. So, again, we're trickling back down. I may get stopped out, and that's okay, but I just want you guys to be able to understand here. So let's go to the hourly chart. So, again, look where price turned, right? We pushed past, this is the pin bar here, right? So, again, it's just an aggregation of price. Here's your pin bar, right? Price pulls back. Look where it pulls back to, right? This is the left eye, right? That's that support build up there, right? So all I do is I move my stop from under this left eye, excuse me, under the low of the pin bar to under the left eye when we turn back up, right? And I did that when we got back near my entry point, because at that point, again, I'd like to just see that turn. That's the key for me. When I have my support and resistance areas and I'm trading, I'm looking just for that turn in price so I can tuck my stop under. Because, again, you can't look at price as a perfect thing. It's not perfect, but the area should be respected enough that, again, if you think of it as a zone, you know, here's your zone, right? That somewhere within this zone, that should start to happen. And, again, some of you will be more aggressive than others. You know, that's just a matter of getting a feel for things and what your comfort zone is. So, again, what I was looking for was basically to trade in this box here. Right, so here's that boxing of price. I was looking to get towards the top of this box here, and I was looking for price to get really a little bit higher to get to break even. And again, you know, the problem here is if you get to break even right when that pin bar breaks here, I feel like you're doing a little bit of a disservice here. Unless you really nailed the entry at, say, right perfectly at the lows, that would be a case where I would consider maybe getting to break even is a little bit more understandable, but I'm really okay. I know it's close to my stop loss right now, and you know, funny enough, my father's getting back into trading, so I've been trying to walk him through things and you know, just start to show him and teach him. You know, he hasn't traded for like 8 years or something, and you know, he's, you know, every 3 seconds texting me, you know, do we close it? Should we close it? What do we do? Should we close it? And you got to let your trades work to a certain degree, guys. You know, you plan your trade out. You get a feel for what you're comfortable with. And then, you know, at a certain point, you got to let things work out. So this is why I do my risk the way I do it. Because, okay, listen, at the end of the day, I got 60% of my risk off the table. I get stopped out, I get stopped out. It's okay. I got to let this do its thing. I'm very comfortable still that this is a strong area. And as long as, you know, we can just continue to hold here, then, you know, listen, it might close neutral, then start to work its way back up. Then I'll have more confidence if we say, you know, next time we break, say, today's high to get to break even. That will make more sense to me as a trader, and that's something I'm more comfortable doing. The other reason I like this one is on the weekly here, and let me zoom in